Okay. I will start in a little bit in Spanish and in Finnish for sorry, in English. Okay. Okay. En el marco de la travesía por la vida y la llegada de los zapatistas a Finlandia, les doy la más cordial bienvenida. In the framework of the journey through life and the next arrival of the Zapatists to Finland, receive everyone a cordial greeting from the Swami Armadillo Collective. I am Alexei Navarrete Kwan. I'm studying anthropology, and now I'm making my master degree about of the archaeology and Historia Maya. I participate in the Kulkiyat Artist Collective. In 1st January 1994, the Zapatists appeared in the national and international public light, taking by the arms 5 municipal capitals of the state of Chiapas: Altamirano, Las Margaritas, Ocosingo, Chanal, and the more important, San Cristóbal de las Casas, for its political and economical importance, as well a tourist city. This act became relevant because in the Presidents of the Republic, the center of the political power, was celebrate the entry of Mexico of the NAFTA, free trade agreement with the United States and Canada. In response, the federal government sent the army with all the power of the arms to put down the rebellion. The fighting between the two forces lasted 11 days. The Zapatist forces came from the Tetzal, Totzil, Chol, and Tojolabal peoples, all of them from the Maya roots. In the days of war, the federal army committed massacres, as in the market of Ocosingo. The Mexican society throughout the country and internationally began mobilizations to stop the war, as massive demonstrations to demand the peace. As of January 12, the government and the Zapatistas will initiate approachment in order to seek the resolve the conflict through dialogue. The dialogue tables of San Andrés Larraizal were established, which were maintained during the two governments of presidential periods. This did not prosper, and the government of President Zedillo responded with a new military offensive. Arrest warrants were used against the Zapatistas leaders and harassment against the Zapatistas communities to surround the Zapatistas with the military camps. The government sent commanding high-ranking military officers to the United States to create forces against insurgents with high military preparation, and at the same time created illegal paramilitary groups which are committed the actual massacre in 1997. But the more important thing is the Zapatistas established autonomous free territories that are governed by their own principles in large areas of Chiapas territory, and established links with the different civil society organizations and the different indigenous or natives communities throughout the country, forming the National Indigenous Council that emerged in the National Indigenous Forum held in January 1996 in San Cristobal de las Casas, Chiapas. Zapatistas' territory and autonomy is rebellious and autonomous. In other words, it is governed by its own political and social principles and norms. This includes the principle of sustainability, that is, they are self-sufficient, which is linked to the pre-Hispanic territorial social organization, which correspond to an anti-capitalist vision of the world conception. Science is based on the community. The main social base of the Zapatists is found in the indigenous municipalities of the region of the area of Las Cañadas, Los Altos, the jungle area, and the north area from Chiapas. Indigenous communities in the country have a long history of exploitation, abandonment, and exclusion from national political and economical life, for they have to concentrate in their community organization in search or improving their living conditions, preserve their traditions and customs, or for their self-determinations and government. The role of women is prominent. They have the same rights as men and are present in the leader positions. In this new autonomous and community way of life, women are promoting education and health projects, as well as in productive agriculture projects. In projects to use the land, the countryside, the forest, in the respectful way and in harmony with nature and the continuity of the ancestral groups such as corn and other products of the traditional Mayan and Mexican diet, as well as productive projects such as the elaboration of the handcraft. In the rebel autonomous territories, relations are based on equality, respect, and collective participation. At the political level, women have leadership positions. It should not be forgotten that even the Zapatists have the military structure to defend itself against attacks by paramilitary groups. Within this structure, Commander Ramona was very important. That means in the more top level of the Zapatistas structure, the women have in the military structure really top participation. In the daily life of the communities, women hold positions of leaderships to which they have been democratically promoted. Although the Zapatistas did not believe in the electoral vote, in the last elections in 2018, the Zapatistas and the National Indigenous Council nominated the first indigenous woman as a candidate for the presidency, María de Jesús Patricio Martínez, Marichuy. Once again, to put in the foreground of national political life of indigenous people with all the political rights that corresponds to them like any citizen, and also narrate their experience and denounce the repressions they suffer every day, putting the indigenous presence in the first public place is very important. It is because in Mexico it is constantly made invisible. Since the Mexican governments have exalted the roots of the indigenous past like an archaeological sites, but they despise the living natives. In Mexico, after 18 years of ultra-right neoliberal governments, the projects to seize the wealth of the soil, forest, nature, and water continue. But the Zapatistas have managed to avoid this situation in their territory and are fighting to stop that projects in all the national level. In their rebellious territory, women have all the rights as an equality. All sexual expressions are valid and respected, as well as human rights. The protection of land, nature, and water is a fact. Zapatistas and autonomy allow us to see that it's possible to build other forms of society. The fighting of the Zapatist dream continues and invite us to fight for our own demands. Thank you very much. But in the Zapatistas trip, the more important for the Zapatist and the Colectivo Armadillo is motivate all the different collectives and people to express their own political forms to fight and their own political experiences. And I really appreciate if the different people and collectives talk about their own experience, about this experience with the Zapatist expression and movement. Thank you very much. Okay. And if someone wants to say something is really important and I really appreciate, because the more important in these acts is not only I'm told, the more important is the other people can express their own experience, their own organization or their own political position, because the Zapatists motivate the autonomy and the self-organization, and that's the more important.
So what happened lately?
Well, the more important to the Zapatistas now in Mexico is they have their own bigger territories, free, autonomous, and they are made the new form to life, the new society, and they have their own forms to live. The indigenous autonomy is the reality, and the more important is the woman and the sexual different expressions. They have all the respect for all the people, and this is really important in Mexico because, well, in not all the Mexican states have that kind of human rights. Well, this is really important because in the Zapatistas, for example, they have their own legal papers. They give, for example, for all the people who is in the autonomous territories, they have the legal papers. They're using the national money, but the more important is they have other forms to the productivity, to the interchange with other communities, and the basis of the community of the economic is the auto production, and they make the collective production, and they using this kind of form to live, and it's the democratic way to take the decisions, for example. Yes.
They are kind of organized in more directly than independent than they.
Yes, is the form. They have now five bigger like they concentrate they concentrate in five bigger places, like the powerful to the people from the communities, and the name is caracoles, like a shell. But the more important is in the south to the Chiapas state. They have one new form to live, and the government, and make their own form to the economical form to survival, and is based on the community. And they using the pre-Columbian and pre-Hispanic, for example, forms to the conception of the war, and is anti-capitalist, and is new form to live. Yes, this is really great. Yes.
How have they been described?
In reality, everyone have some part to make their own. For example, forms to put their own food, but they have the collective forms to work, and they cooperate in the collective. And when, for example, with the corn is ready, they give the same part to everyone. But every family can make their own forms to live, and their own product, both in the collective conscience, in the collective form to use. Well, they say is the first was the Aguascalientes, after that the Caracoles. But for example, in '94, when the peace was the reality, they make the first union with the first meeting with all the Mexican society. It was in '94, and the name was la primera Convención Nacional Democrática, the first democratic convention, and came people from all the Mexican society and the leaders of the left parties, and was really important, because the Zapatistas they don't want to be like the '60s political army movements. They don't want to be like leaders. They motivate and respect for their own organization for all the different groups, and they form to the more like 25 years. The Zapatistas have their own territories based in the autonomy, rebellion, and this is the point. Yes. The government. Well, the government for the last 18 years, the government was from the more radical right political parties, and they have the around to the freedom Zapatistas territories, a lot of army bases, and something terrible is in these days and all the time they using the illegal organizations like paramilitaries to all the time try to destabilize the Zapatistas territories. They suffer constant repressions for the that kind of groups, and from the government, from the Chiapas state. But the Zapatistas, they have a lot of contact and communication with the social civil organizations in Mexico and in all the world, and this is one form to stop the directly repression, because it's really the support from the Europe and different Latin American countries can make pressure in the Mexican government to put down the more straight and directly repression. But the life in the territories, it's the own form to live, but based in the rebellion. But in the same time, all the time they suffer small attacks and pressure for the state to Chiapas. But the Zapatistas, they make many forms, the new forms to resistance and new forms to communication with the different civil organizations in all the world. For example, this new trip, El Viaje por la Vida, is one of the more important forms to the Zapatistas made to be in contact with all the different experience in all the world, and now in Europe. And these activities, because we are waiting the Zapatistas in the last days in this month, and we will enjoy the talk with them and participate with them and listen their own experience, and they really are interested in listen about their own experience from us here in Finland and in all of Europe. Yes. Well, in reality, this is really important because the Maya culture in the states from, for example, Chiapas, Quintana Roo, Yucatan, and in Guatemala, Belize, is alive. Is of course have changes, but the Maya culture is alive, and in the Zapatistas movement, they take all the old Mayan culture and knowledge to make their own forms to live. Because in the Maya culture, the more important is the respect to the land and live in harmony with the nature, and in the social structures is the base is the community, and this is the base to the Zapatistas now. And of course they using the Maya culture to projection in the present and in the future, because for example many people they talk the Maya language, and that's really important because the Maya culture is alive. It's not like in other times, but the basis, for example the agriculture, the community forms to life is really important, but in the same time they including something really important. It's like the equality between men and women, and for example the different sexual expressions, they have all the human rights and all the respect, and this is really important because not in all the Mexican states is like legality, because in the north of Mexico have two states which is really conservatories, and it's part of the double moral from Mexico. But in the Zapatistas rebellion land is a reality. Yes. Yes.
There's been very little news reporting from that area, especially, particularly about the pandemic.
Well, in the pandemic, this is one really terrible situation because in some parts from the south to Mexico, the more poor areas, the pandemic attack, but the Zapatists, they are locking their own areas because they push the new government to start the vaccination programs, and they're using a lot of the traditional medicine to have more defenses. But anyway, they are like all the people in risk. But anyway, they have they are lucky because they have the community to support together this pandemic and the different situations, because the solidarity is something really important between them and with the communities which they are close. Yes, but yes. Well, and I think the more important now for the different groups with where we are participating in the Armadillo Collective, because we are working in the different for the different backgrounds. Now is we are making really stronger relationships, union, and we are ready for when the Zapatistas coming. And when the Zapatistas coming, we are planning different activities, and one of them is the massive activity in the Helsinki University. The other one will be more close and more smaller in the Olunkula and Seura Juane. And I want to invite all the presents to came to participate, and well, all the new ideas for this activity, you are welcome. And for me, I finish, but I really want to say with the Zapatistas, it's really excellent example, like we can make the new world. Thank you very much. Yes.